Get into these headlines today. We have to talk about Jaguar Wright. Her appearance on Piers Morgan, of course, has got people talking. She hit off Jay-Z and Beyoncé. She also had conversation for Diddy, naturally, others. We also are going to get into Kendrick, Lamar, Drake. There's some updates there. Drake did something in his birthday month that might mean a couple of things. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into Chris Brown. There is an ID documentary coming out about his past abuse allegations, and there is something interesting that is going on as far as Chris and this latest twist. We're also going to get into our beloved father of the 70s, James Amos. We've discovered passed away back in August. And there was an interesting tribute message that popped up on social media. So we're going to talk about that. So let's get into Jaguar Wright. Let's hit these headlines. So Jaguar Wright recently appeared on Piers Brosnan, not Piers Brosnan, Piers Morgan. He has a YouTube show currently on the Fox News Network. I think that is the name of it, or Fox News Now. Maybe that's the name of it. At any rate, she came on, and we know for some time Jaguar has been speaking out about what she claims to know in reference to Diddy and the industry and a bunch of others. I'm going to say, and stop right here, I think that Jaguar has some issues. And just because someone has issues doesn't mean they're telling the truth. But in this instance, I personally, me, Jill, feel as though Jaguar is pulling a lot of things that she's read over the internet. We all have access to YouTube. As I've mentioned, Lipstick Alley in previous broadcasts. On there, we have heard conversation about Diddy and a lot of these alleged things for a very, very long time now. So I think that Jaguar has read the internet, listened to a lot of YouTube videos, like a lot of people, and is adding on to things. But you be the judge. She appeared on Piers Morgan, as I said, and she had a lot of accusations about Jay-Z and Beyoncé. She also talked about Aaliyah in this conversation. So basically, Jaguar said that Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. Straight up, they are monsters. And that allegedly, according to her, Jay and Beyoncé have been involved in some seriously disturbing activities. Once again, I personally don't believe Jaguar, but Piers has given her a platform, as many others have had, to discuss these topics. She is alleging that behind closed doors, they are a part of a large, sinister network in the entertainment industry. Maybe Illuminati, maybe a bunch of other things. Who knows? The same thing that people have been talking about for time and time again. She said that both Jay-Z and Beyonce are involved in manipulating and even harming others to maintain their power. She claims that they keep people unconscious, literally to put them on planes. She made that claim that Jay-Z drugged Aaliyah and killed her because she refuted his romantic intentions. So Jaguar is saying a lot. She is putting a lot out there, a lot on the line. A lot of people are saying, why isn't she been hit with a defamation suit? Why isn't she been hit with a cease and desist? I think one, if someone doesn't have anything, what are you suing them for? This is the most attention she's got. I don't know if she's being paid for these interviews, but she is definitely taking advantage of it and milking it for as much as she can. She has also said that she knows 3 victims herself who are prepared to come forward and testify against Jay-Z and Beyonce. She didn't provide any names. She said that she has video footage of, she had girls that had hidden cameras because she indicated that at one point in time, she was an ex-worker before she got into the music industry, and that she had girls working for her that were wearing undercover cameras, and she has proof and footage of some of these activities, though no screenshots have been brought forward. I figure if you have that type of evidence and you want people to believe you and you're speaking on it, right, you should like show a screenshot or something. I don't know. But she hasn't done that. She also suggested that Beyonce is more involved than people think. She says it's not just Jay, it is B2, and that there are dark things happening in the shadows. She brought up Claudia Jordan's name once again because she is linking Claudia Jordan to a friend who Claudia says is a loose friend that they met, had, a summer where they hung out a few times. There's a photo of them in Vegas from around 2007. And allegedly, this woman, Kathy White, was Jay-Z's secret lover, and she was pregnant with this secret baby, and she mysteriously passed away. Now, she allegedly passed away. Well, not allegedly. According to her family and Claudia, she passed away from an aneurysm, but people have suggested, and Jaguar is moving forward with these claims, that Jay-Z had this woman taken care of because he didn't want Beyonce to find out. And she's made some very wild accusations. As I said, Claudia has refuted them. Claudia does not know Jaguar. Jaguar does not know Claudia, but she claims to know this intimate knowledge. And as I said, this is stuff that has been talked about on places like Lipstick Alley and in other YouTube videos for years and years and years. So, take it with a grain of salt. I think Jaguar has perused the internet and is making the most of her moment. Now, that is not to say that she hasn't been wronged in the entertainment industry and things may not have happened to her. Her career certainly did not pan out in the way that she envisioned, but those are some strong, heavy allegations to levy at someone. And if you were doing that, you should be very, very prepared. Good luck with that. She also talked about Diddy. She said that Diddy, as everyone is known or stated or alluded to, has been involved in shady dealings in the industry for a very long time. She said that both Diddy and Jay-Z were a part of the reason that Aaliyah passed away. That is crazy to me. What I can share with you about that time is I actually worked at Virgin Records when Aaliyah was signed there through Blackground. As a matter of fact, CNN reached out to me because I worked in PR at that time. I was a publicist to verify the passengers that were on the plane that day. So not only did we lose Aaliyah, but I personally lost a coworker and my hairstylist, Eric Foreman, who did Aaliyah's hair, and Anthony, who was his best friend, who was also doing hair on that shoot, were on that plane. So I can tell you, I worked in the industry at that time. I worked for Aaliyah's label. I worked on that project. And I personally, being there and being involved, don't see how these claims could really be true. You never know. But again, I worked at the label, and how she's connecting these dots, these things, those weren't the things from my knowledge that were happening at that time. There were some things happening behind the scenes, but not those things. She also went on to say that Diddy was involved, of course, in Epstein's infamous circle. She said that there are connections from Epstein to R. Kelly. They're all part of the same machine. She also said that from her personal experience, well, she didn't say this on Piers Morgan, but she said this in previous videos before, that she personally, she herself went to Epstein's Island and rescued women. So again, I ask you, does that sound like something a stable woman would say? You can make the choice. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up. Let me know what you think about Jaguar Wright. If you believe her, if you think that she's full of it, if you think that she is taking advantage of the moment. After her appearance on Piers Morgan, she called in to, I don't know if you remember, there was a New York DJ back in the day, quite controversial. There was a Star and Buck Wild show. Star now has a YouTube channel where he has content, and she called into his show and they got into a back and forth. He was highly disrespectful to her because she, I guess he felt she was mocking him and said that he was, I guess, a fan of Jay-Z, and that's why he couldn't understand or believe the things that she was saying and the truth that she was putting forward about Jay-Z. So you can go and check that out if you like. That was pretty contentious, but par for the course. Jaguar also claimed that Blue Ivy is not Jay-Z's child, that it is Jay-Z's best friend's child. Look, anybody with two eyes can see that Blue Ivy is Jay-Z's child. So, I mean, anyway. And like I said, the hidden cameras and a bunch of things. That video, less than 24 hours, has been up on Piers Morgan's channel, YouTube channel, and it already has about 2.3 million views, over 20,000 comments. So people are clearly interested, tapped in, and engaged. And I'm sure it is a big, big thing for his channel. All right, moving on to Diddy. He is facing 120 new accusations. These are brought forth by an attorney named Tony Buzbee. He is out of Texas. Now, I know I'm going to sound like a doubter, and this is not a defender. I know I'm going to sound like a naysayer, but I'm going to call cap on Tony Buzbee a little bit as well. If you aren't familiar with him, he is also the lawyer that represented several of the accusers in the Deshaun Watson, former quarterback of the Houston Texans. He was accused of sexually assaulting and being inappropriate with several masseuses that he contacted allegedly through Instagram. I don't know what happened with the cases and the people that Tony was representing, if they settled, if they just quietly went away. We know Deshaun wasn't convicted criminally of anything, but Tony seems like a bit of an ambulance chaser to me. I don't know if you checked out his press conference, but he claimed that over 3,000 individuals have come forward with allegations. 62% of the accusers are African American, many detailing violent assaults and drug facilitated abuse. He claims that there are victims as young as 9 years old, a boy that went to an audition of some sort, a girl that was 14. He mentions horse tranquilizers. None of that has been linked to Diddy as far as we are aware. None of it was mentioned in what is in a very detailed, thus far, indictment from the Southern District of New York. But again, we're going to have to see. He claims that he is also in possession of a wealth of evidence, including video recordings, text messages, and photos that could be damning. Once again, he did not give any peeks, any little screenshot, nothing of this so-called evidence. And it also should be noted that as this time, no official court filing has been filed by him. That doesn't mean that there won't be. He says he intends to. There's also an 800 line for Diddy abusers to call and share their story. I think that this is just ripe for abuse at this point. Excuse me using that terminology, but for people to be dishonest and just get in there and, speak on things because there's an opportunity for a cash grab. There are legitimate victims in this, and they will have their day in court. But some of this just seems a little tricky to me, a little tricky. I don't know. Like I said, this guy seems like an ambulance chaser to me. I don't trust it. Also, I'm not sure if you caught the gentleman who wrote the alleged Amazon book from the files of Kim Porter. I call cap on him too. He used an alias that Tupac used. Jamal, I can't remember the last name. He said he put the T in there for Tupac. He says he was asked to do this by the individuals that gave him this drive with all of this information, which he also claims that there are videos and photos on it. He says he has not taken it to the feds yet. Well, he actually slipped up. He said he was working with the feds, but then he says he intends to take it to the feds, but he has not as of this time. The book has been pulled by Amazon after Kim's family, including her daughters, spoke out about it. So, I mean, a lot of people are trying to make money off of this Diddy thing. And really, to be honest, they're coming at the end of a gravy train. Diddy has to pay all of these lawyers to defend this and go through this. We know he paid Cassie $30 million. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of evidence these people have, because some of these allegations go back as far as 1991. And realistically, I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying these people haven't. But have you kept evidence from 1991? And surely it's not text messages. That didn't exist in that time. Did you keep maybe a voicemail recording? not even a voicemail, an answering machine. So we're gonna have to see how all of this goes down, but it's getting crazy now. It is beyond ridiculous. Everyone is looking for their money grab as far as this goes. He said that at least 25 of the alleged victims were minors at the time of the incidents. He says that this is a pattern of abuse that is stretched over multiple decades. Again, that is what was included in the indictment. So, I mean, yeah, but I don't know. You never want to question a victim, but sometimes you have to look at the circumstance and context as well. So we will have to see how all of this pans out. I don't know if you guys are into Dr. Umar, if you ever check him out, but recently he said that, oh, Dodu, I hope I said your name right. Beyonce is a woman. How can she be involved? Well, according to Jaguar, Beyonce is involved because she is claiming that she, meaning Beyonce, and Jay-Z have been involved in their own version of freak offs, and that those alleged incidents, choosing my words carefully, will end up coming to light, and that she allegedly has proof of some of these instances. She also claimed that Beyonce was involved in this alleged mistress's passing in some capacity. Like I said, she's making some very wild allegations. And though she has nothing financially at this point to lose, I mean, listen, if you aren't working with the feds and you are being truthful about this, I suggest you make some plans because this stuff sounds crazy, but that is allegedly Beyonce's involvement, according to Jaguar Wright, who, once again, I will state personally, tricky. I wouldn't trust Jaguar and her sources, which, of course, she's not revealing. She doesn't have to, but again, a lot of the things that she alludes to sounds like things that have been floating around the internet for quite some time. I was mentioning Dr. Umar because he made the comparison that Diddy is being treated in a way that Hugh Hefner never was, and their lifestyles were comparable. Hugh Hefner, I don't know if you ever checked out the Playboy docuseries that was on, I think it was, I can't remember, maybe AMC. I think it was also on Hulu, but it was really good. And it went into detail about some of the accusations about what happened at the Playboy Mansion back in the day, some of the power that Hef allegedly yielded. I think that they are two different levels. I also think that though it may be true, I know people hate to hear this, but it very much was a different time during that time period. And what was considered acceptable, what was considered normal, even in that world, is very different than where we are today. So you can't necessarily compare the two because we're talking about something that started in the 60s and went all the way up through the 2000s when we had the Girl Next Door TV show. I mean, one of the things that is really obvious about what is happening in hip hop, obviously, we saw this sweep through the film industry, but I often compare the hip hop era to the 70s rock movement. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's when, bands like Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, things like that were in existence. And they had a groupie movement. There were even, and these girls were young, under 18, some as young as 13 and 14. They would be in the nightclubs with them drinking. There was even a magazine called Star dedicated to them that featured stories about them. It had a cartoon strip in it that also was all the jokes about how women were going to sneak into like the Beatles recording session or to get into the celebrities room. They would do features on these girls. And as I said, they were under 18. And it was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's where it came from, the outlandish bad boy behavior. No pun intended. But I think that a lot of things that happened in hip hop mirrored this time. And the difference is with those women, some of those women wrote books. Pamela DeBar's I'm With the Band is a really famous one. There are songs that were written about them. They were open, oftentimes in those songs talking about their love of young girls. There's songs about teenage love and things like that, being an older guy, picking a girl up after school. And the women, though, in most instances, claim that they weren't taken advantage of, that they pursued this lifestyle. And we're going to see that on trial whenever we get to the point of Diddy actually ending up in the courtroom and the case being laid out. As I've said several times, we're a long way out from that. But we have reached clown town status at this point, because all of the 120 people that have solid, credible stories and evidence, that seems crazy to me. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. I love to hear your feedback. So let's talk about Chris Brown really quick. Chris Brown has some new drama surrounding him. There's a new ID documentary that is dropping on Investigation Discovery that is alleging to shed light on the history and of his abuse allegations. We're kind of wondering why now. To my knowledge, recently there hasn't been anything. As a matter of fact, there was a case where a woman sued him for $20 million for assault in Miami. Excuse me. The case is 2 years old. Recently, it's come out that her lawyer has dropped her because she believes that the accuser was being dishonest. There are text messages that went on from the day after the alleged incident happened, months after, including one text message that said that Chris was the best sex. I don't know if that's a banned YouTube word. I hope not. Anyway, that the woman had ever had. I don't know if you say this to someone you claim assaulted you. So her lawyer has dropped her. The police department is aware of these text messages, and we'll see what develops in that. Meanwhile, Chris sold out an upcoming concert, I believe in Africa, over 11. I'm not sure if that's the sellout, but he sold over 11,000 tickets in a short matter of hours. So he's doing his thing. We will see what happens with that. Let me know if you're going to check out the ID documentary. I kind of don't know what new things we have to add to that. And if it is, again, in defense of either Rihanna or Karrueche, it's been almost 15 years since the Rihanna incident. Karrueche, it's been a number of years as well. Both of those women have moved on, very successful, have had more relationships. We know Rihanna is happy. Is it fair to continue to put them through that as well? For what reason, when they don't seem to be in that space where they want to keep being tagged as a victim? But we will have to see what develops. Speaking of victims, Russell Simmons, he has been in the news for the past few years about his own allegations. And we know he is in Bali in his retreat. Some say hiding out. Some say, well, he says he opened a retreat there. He's more peaceful and he comes back and forth to the United States a bunch of times. But Russell's hiding out. And this is how we know it. So he owes over $3 million as part of his settlement with 3 women who accused him of sexual assault. He settled the cases in 2023, but reportedly he's failed to make payments on this. There have been conversations around Russell Simmons and his ex-wife, Kimora Lee Simmons, financial status and what's happening with that. We know there was a lot of conversation earlier in the year about their daughter that was out there making much, much older friends, and was she sugar baby and things like that. Things get crazy. So right now, the women's legal team are prepared to file paperwork to seize his assets. That includes his property, any luxury cars, any valuable holdings that he still currently has in the United States. He continues to deny all allegations, all allegations as they are pertaining to this suit and some of the others that have been thrown at him. But by missing the payments, he's opened the door for his accusers to take further action. So we're going to see what happens with that. Will Russ be back in the States to defend himself and those allegations? We'll see. All right, so in some random news, Drake went on an unfollowing spree to start October. He unfollowed LeBron James. He unfollowed Playboy Cardi, DeMar DeRozan, a couple of others, Joe Budden, seemingly still hanging on to the remnants of the summer that was Kendrick Lamar. I guess he's starting birthday month off fresh. But I tell you what, though, even though Drake is the most streamed rapper, I think in like Spotify history or something like that, his numbers are crazy. Um, People are still taking shots at him. Fashion Nova has a Halloween costume for Drake. It has like the parted wavy wig, kind of like my hair a little bit, with the barrettes and the bobos on it. And it's in a sweatsuit and it has a BBL sticking out of the back. Like, how are you going to do that? Make a BBL Drake Halloween costume. And somebody's going to be out there rocking that. So, we'll have to see what happens with Drake, what he does next to figure out how he can get his mojo back. At least his fans, he's not going to lose his fans, but for the rest of the people, we want to see what goes down with it. And lastly, rest in peace to John Amos. He was our father of the 70s on Good Times and all of that. We've also seen him in several other roles throughout the years. Coming to America, he was on All About the Andersons TV show, other things. He passed away. We learned in August, actually, that he passed away. And we know that there's drama surrounding the circumstances surrounding his death between his children have gone on during his last days. However, there was a young lady on Twitter. Her name is, let me get her name right, because I want you to go and check this out. I really should put it up here, but I'm not good at that yet. We're going to keep practicing. Her name is Mariah Cobb. Okay. She is on Twitter as Mariah Cobb. And Mariah posted a picture of herself in a bikini. Mariah is a young lady, looks to be about in her 20s, and a picture with Mr. Amos. He is relaxed, chilling, and it is definitely Mr. Amos in his latter years. And she was like, rest in peace to a legend, John Amos. Remember, I put this cat on you so good that day that you could barely move. Girl, what? Bring back shame. I'm Jill Munroe. Thank you for locking in to RSVP from Jill Munroe. Oh, before I go, if you are a Power fan, I got a couple of predictions for Power tonight. I think I'm right. One, the episode is titled Ghost in the Machine. Courtney Kemp, who was the original creator of Power, co-wrote this episode. Two, Amari Hardwick is appearing on Fat Joe's new talk show that is premiering after the season finale of Ghost. I don't think the first episode, but he is appearing on this season. Three, there has been no announcement of Force coming back. We know it's the last season of Force, but they have dropped the trailer for Raising Kanan, which all leads me to believe, one, I think that the end of Ghost will bleed into the new season of Force, and there's some tie over there. Two, I have never been a believer of this, and I think some things have changed over the years, because initially they said that Ghost would never come back, but I think, I'm curious if maybe we might see an appearance of Ghost on the season finale of Power Book 2 Ghost, or somewhere tied into whatever's going to happen with Force. I've said before, I think that there's a spinoff coming for Effie in California. I was torn. I think that Tariq is going to be moving on, like I said, to Ghost, but I don't know. Maybe Tariq goes to jail. We'll have to see. Anyway, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you locking in. And